Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm a veteran.
Hey, I'm Travis. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Hey, my name's Jonathan, and I'm a veteran.
Hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm a veteran.
My name is Chad, and I'm a veteran.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with a Vet this Sunday. Hopefully, everybody's had a wonderful weekend. I would like to start off by saying if you haven't already gone out to Amazon and picked up your copy of Unshaken Resolve, that's by Michael Alexander Payne, you can do so now. It is a really great read, talks a lot about leadership and, following the course. And additionally, the author, as well as previous guest, has signed. So there are 2 autographed books waiting for when we hit the next milestone of 1,000 subscribers. So please, please, please make sure that you hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any new content and new interviews with veterans. And also make sure that at the end of the show that you hit that like button and put a comment. We love to read those and make sure that everybody gets to see, your thoughts. So thank you all for watching. I do have a wonderful guest waiting. Her name is Teanna Lambert. And so please help me welcome her to the stage.
Hi.
Hi. Good evening. How is your weekend doing?
It has been a great weekend. Lovely weekend, actually. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful. Yeah, it's been good. The weather hasn't been too bad. Got the lawn mowed before it started to storm. I felt like I accomplished something just by doing all of that. That's always the hard part, right? Is timing of things.
Yes.
So, well, thank you so very much for agreeing to come on the channel and telling your story. I'd like to usually ask my guests at the start to tell me a little bit about who you were as a child. So who was Teanna as a child?
Wow, that's a good question. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and thank you for facilitating a podcast like this where veterans do have the opportunity to come on and share their stories and who they were before, during, and after service. So it's sometimes multiple different people in there.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It's that whole growth process. And thank you.
Yeah. So I was, prior to military service, I grew up in a small, very rural, very poor area of northern New York, about 2 miles south of the Canadian border in the middle of nowhere. So much so that when I was a little girl, before I went to kindergarten, my mom had asked me who the president of the United States was, and I did not know. I knew who the Prime Minister of Canada was because we did not get cable where I lived. We had rabbit ears, and we only got Canadian television stations. So that's what I watched. And the ironic thing was my mom worked for the cable company. And so she went to work the next day, and within a week we had cable because the guys at work were like, no way is that little girl going to grow up and not know that she's American. So yeah, so I grew up just, the oldest of 3 kids, had, my parents ended up divorced and remarried and all that stuff. And so, just that's who I was. I was a good student. I was a cheerleader in high school.
Nice.
I went to like 4 different high schools. So, it was, we moved around a lot, and we were not a military family. So
Yeah, that does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard. How was it for you with, making friends and moving all the time? Was that a difficult
Yeah.
thing?
It was definitely difficult. It was very difficult. I mean, I went to 4 different high schools.
Mhm.
So, I mean, high school is only 4 years long. So, I was somewhere
Yeah.
different quite frequently, and it was definitely a challenge. Because you just, at that stage of life, you're coming into people already have their friend groups and things like that, and you're trying to figure out who you are already in that age demographic, and then you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out where you fit in, and do you fit in this group at the last school where you were in, but are you fitting in with those people here, or is that not going to work out? And just
Yeah.
definitely was challenging, but I had
That's
some great friends, that I ended up graduating high school with. So,
right. Which is wonderful that you had that.
mhm.
So, all right. Did you do any sports or probably no time when you were a cheerleader, did you?
That was my sport. Cheerleading
Let
was
me
my
guess.
sport.
Okay. I apologize profusely. Yes. Outside of cheerleading, did you do any other sports?
Not in high school, no.
Okay.
No, I did not.
What was it then that made you decide that you wanted to join the military and specifically the Air Force?
So I actually didn't join the Air Force straight out of high school. I actually went to college for a year, and just was probably not making the best life decisions. And so I had taken a little break from school, and I actually did the Miss New York USA pageant. Um, and so the person who won that year was actually in the Navy at the same time as she was competing in the Miss New York USA pageant. And I was
Oh, wow.
really actually very inspired by the talk that she gave and the way she carried herself, and just some different things, that she had. And I was like, okay, that was really inspiring to me.
Right. And I think that's such a great thing. It's a lot of people don't understand, especially nowadays, the drive or the want to join the military. And then you have the opposite side of the spectrum who, I mean, you're all volunteers. Every one of you at this stage are volunteers.
Mhm.
And so to me,
And
oh,
so
wow.
I had to do that first, and then I get there and, changing planes, all of that kind of stuff. And so I had never ever done any of that by myself before. And I had only ever been on a plane one other time. So it's not like I had flown regularly or anything like that. And you get there and you're tired and you don't know what to expect, and
Mhm.
what you should expect is just to get yelled at. So,
Well, and your nerves are already on high alert
yes.
because I remember what you were speaking of as far as the first time flying by yourself,
Mhm.
even. I mean, for you, this first time ever, but first time flying by yourself, you experience it the same way.
Mhm.
You don't know where anything is. You don't know where these gates are. You don't know, so you're struggling to
Mhm.
figure this all out because the worst thing in the world is going to be to miss a flight,
Right.
right?
Right. Yes, for sure. So, yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and getting there, and hurrying up, getting off the bus, and all of that was interesting,
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
the least.
I can only
Memorable.
imagine.
Definitely memorable.
See, that's not a bad thing because that's what we're all about here tonight.
Yes.
Memories.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
tell me about what it was like during basic training. Do you have any funny stories that you can recall?
Um, Actually, I've gone through a few funny stories recently, but the one that really stands out to me that I have had brought to my mind for some different reasons was I was what they called the study monitor. So it was my responsibility at that time. We had these big black zipper pouches that we had to march around with, different things like that. So that was just um, looking back, I'm like, that was so dumb. That was my job. And that's not even a job that people have any longer. So that's not a thing. So it's kind of
Which is a
funny.
good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to take responsibility for yourself, let alone,
Yeah. Yeah, but
know,
you are
somebody
one team, so you got to figure it out together also. But
exactly.
yeah, I would say the other funniest thing that happened pretty early on when I was at basic training, I have two other things. One was I remember my TI yelling at me, "What did you do? Wake up one morning and decide you were going to join the United States Air Force?" And I was like, "Sir, yes, sir. Actually, like that is what happened. And here I am."
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
I did actually just wake up one morning and decide I needed to get out of here and I'm going to join the Air Force. And within a month I was gone. So so that is true. And then the other one was I didn't know that it could get cold in Texas.
Mhm.
Air Force basic training is in San Antonio and we had freezing rain and it happened to be on a day that I got to call home. And when I went through basic training, the 321st Training Squadron was called Hotel Hell. It's no longer called that, but it was Hotel Hell. And I remember calling my mom and I was crying and I was like, "Mom, hell has officially frozen over. Like I am there and there's ice everywhere." So, yeah, so those were my like funny moments. Everything else was just get in, get stuff done, get through. And honestly, I think it's probably a miracle. I think a lot of people probably feel that. I was, an adult when I signed. I didn't need anybody's permission. So,
Right.
so no, there was no conversation. There was none.
When your mom found out?
Yeah, when I came home, there was a conversation because I had actually done my testing and I qualified for EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. And so I came home and my dad was like, my stepdad was like, "Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you joined the Air Force. It'll be so great for you. What job did you pick?" And I said EOD, and he said, "Do you want to come home with all your fingers and toes?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he said, "That's not the job for you." I was like, "Okay." But they were going to give me this great signing bonus. And he's like,
Right.
that's not the job for you. That's not what you need to be doing. And he's like, "Okay, here's a list of other jobs that would be, well suited to you." And so I went back to the recruiter and I was like, "I don't think that's going to work. And I want to go into finance instead. And I'd really like to leave as soon as possible." So that's what I ended up doing. It's finance.
Wow. And the fact that you actually got your choice is impressive.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah. Very, very rare.
I know
that happens. So
the horror stories I've heard about
Mhm.
not getting that first choice.
Yeah.
So as far as the training went, did they have it broken down? Like, the first week you do, receiving, getting all your gear. The second week you do, I don't know, some kind of field training. The next week it'd be firearms or did you have a favorite out of all of those?
I actually loved the firearms training. That's probably my favorite. I mean, even still to this day, I absolutely love I love shooting. It is one of my favorite things to do. It's just such a great release, like a stress
It is.
reliever. And my husband is actually a police officer, and we love to go in the backyard. We have a couple acres, and we have a shooting range back there, and we love to go in the back and just have a little shooting competition. And
Isn't
he
it
has to
fun?
carry a gun and work, for work every day, but I don't. And let's see who's better at it. So
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Same. It's one of my favorite hobbies is to get out and shoot and just take out my stress
Yes.
on a piece of steel.
Yes, exactly. It's lots of fun.
It is.
Mhm.
All right. Well, in basic training, so you said you had, calling home and hell freezing over, which
Mhm.
I get that. Were you outside of that time? Did you have an opportunity to call home again, or was it just had to wait till the end of your training?
I'm sure I did get a couple of phone calls home, but that's the most memorable one for me. I don't really remember, those each phone call. I know I got a few letters and that kind of thing, but it wasn't,
Nice.
it wasn't something that I really, I don't remember those except for that one conversation and maybe one of, here's the information for graduation, which Air Force graduation when I graduated, 20 some years ago versus Air Force graduation today are two different experiences. So,
Really?
yes, yeah, yes.
So
Very
tell
like
me
it was
what
like a
yours was like.
2 day of ours was very short and just the parade and, basic kind of things like in dress blues the whole time. And then I've recently, within the last year or so, got to experience two different Air Force graduations and just seeing it's a 2 day event. Like it is an event.
Really?
It's great because you get more time with your airmen and that kind of thing to be off base and have that liberty. But yeah, it's just different. And I love the way they do it now, honestly. Like they've worked so hard like to go through all of the training and just really getting that giving the families that experience both days is
Right.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that's great. That's
mhm,
wonderful. You get through your training,
mhm.
and where do you go from there?
Then I go to Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi for training for my job for finance. So
Okay, so I got to ask this question. Here is, this Eastern girl from New York, Northeastern,
yeah,
in in the deep South.
yes, yeah.
How did you feel there?
Um, I mean, the beauty of that is you're still in tech school, and so you're really not experiencing really the deep south necessarily. I'm not that that's not something beautiful to experience. It is a great thing to experience, but um for me at that time that wasn't my experience. I didn't know what I didn't know or didn't
Right.
really have anything other than that base experience and some time off base with friends and that kind of thing. So the heat was different. I can tell you that was drastic change from, below freezing temperatures in New York
Hmm.
and switching that to Mississippi was drastically different. So drastically
Right.
different. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask this question first before we get too far in.
Mhm.
What was it like for the Chow Hall with the Air Force?
Um, well, I mean, in basic training, not great, but I actually I had to gain weight while I was there. And so it's like I actually had to gain weight before they would even let me leave to go. Like I needed to put on some weight to go. So I did that and then, I had to gain weight. So I had to eat a lot and it was just so fast and I was not used to eating that way. And so um I don't remember the food being great, I can tell you that. There's not a single thing that I ate in BMT that is memorable. So
that little where the different branches talk
Mhm.
about, the Air Force is the spoiled
Yeah.
branch, gets all,
Yes,
the
yes.
lobster and all of that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious how they served the recruits
Not like
during
that. There's no
basic
lobster
training.
at BMT.
You just never know.
No,
Never know.
no, no. I will say, I don't wanna get too far ahead of ourselves either, but I did have one of my kids was there over the holidays. She was at Air Force Basic Training for Thanksgiving and Christmas last year, and so they did serve them a fantastic meal for Thanksgiving and let them call home, and by that, I mean actually the command staff came and served the meal to the recruits, like
Oh,
the base commander kind of thing. Like it was, or the wing commander. I'm not sure exactly who, but it was, really, really special for her to have that experience. So they did take care of them over the holidays, but I wasn't there over a holiday. So I don't know about that for me.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Mississippi,
Mhm.
and tell me what it was like. So finance, it was your MOS.
Yes.
And had you ever, dealt with anything like that previously? So you're just like, I'm going into finance.
Well, my major in college was business. So
Okay.
I had taken some accounting classes and I really liked working with numbers. So I think that's why I was kind of steered in that direction. But no, I had never, and I'm sure this is going to come as a shock to everybody listening, but the way the government handles finances is way different than the way people handle finances. So I know, shocker.
I know. I have a hard time believing that.
Nobody has a hard time believing that. Doesn't matter where you sit on the political spectrum. Everybody believes that.
I know. And so you're learning this.
Mhm.
You've got numbers.
Yes.
You're good with numbers. I am not. And
Okay.
I know my faults, right? Numbers are not my thing.
Okay.
So thank goodness for calculators and computers.
Yes.
And how long was the training that you had to take for finance?
It's about 11 weeks, I think.
That's a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I feel like it was about 11 weeks. It could have been a little bit less than that, maybe 9. I don't know. It wasn't that long. I think when my daughter just went through, she's also in finance. But
Like
I
mother,
think,
like daughter. I love it.
yes, yeah. And it's actually kind of ironic that she actually went into the Air Force at the same rank that I left the Air Force doing the same job. So it's it's really an interesting, my ceiling was her floor kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so that's a special thing that I feel in my mama's heart. So
Right.
anyways, yeah, but yeah, I think hers was maybe a little bit less time than mine, but I want to say it was about 11 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah.
And during this time, any funny stories you can recall?
Probably not that should be repeated and recorded.
Nobody's listening. It's all
yeah.
good.
No, I don't think. I mean, I got into a little bit of trouble while I was there, but I made it through, so it's
Well,
fine.
that's good. That's always good.
Yeah.
You finish your training.
Yeah.
What happens for you next?
Well, right before we finish training, I get my duty assignment, and it was in Utah, and I had no idea where Utah was. I did not. I was like, I don't even know where that is. So I literally had to get out a map because that was I can't look it up on my phone because that wasn't a thing then. So I had to get out the map and look and see where I was actually going. And I was going to Hill Air Force Base in Utah. So yeah, that's what happened next. And then you get on a plane again and go to your base. So
And you get there, and of course the scenery is completely different.
yeah, it's so different. So Utah was really definitely something that I did not appreciate the beauty of until after I left and came back to visit. That's what I would say.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh
I just
my gosh.
didn't appreciate it. I mean, I grew up in the woods and mountains and that kind of thing, and so I just don't think I appreciated the scenery and the differences of terrain that the state of Utah encompasses, honestly. Like it's, you can be in the desert or you could be in the mountains skiing. Like it's so different. And you could do both of those things on the same day.
Exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of crazy, but it's a beautiful, beautiful state. So yeah.
And so you're there, you're starting, And what was it like for you your first day of being on the job, doing the finances?
Yeah, so there's a couple different aspects to finance, and there's like the customer service side of things, and then there's more of the accounting and the business side of things. And so I was kind of thankful that I got put in the business side of things and not the customer service side of things. So that first day, and even that first week or two, really just kind of trying to figure out, I'm an adult now,
Right.
and this is like a legit job. I have to show up and I have to do things like I'm expected to be a certain places at a certain time, but nobody's yelling at me and telling me when and where to be there, that kind of thing. It's just, this is what's expected of me to do the right thing.
Yeah. And I bet you felt a sense of freedom.
Yeah. A freedom I had never really had before, but also restricted at the same time.
Right.
You have your parameters, but definitely a freedom I had never really had before, because I was a young adult, and I had gone to college for a little bit, but I've always been the person who would help to look after my younger siblings and just things like that. And so it was a freedom where I only had me to worry about. And
Exactly.
I was so far away from anybody else. I had no other responsibilities. So it was good and challenging and new to learn those things all at the same time.
Right. I think that's great that you had that opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How long were you there in Utah?
I was stationed there for about 2 years, and then in that time, shortly after I got there, I actually met my husband. And so he and I got married, and he deployed a couple times to Iraq. And so within that time, I also got pregnant and decided I was going to get out of the Air Force, because we were on the same deployment cycle. And what do you do with a baby when, a girl from a small town in New York marries a guy from a small town in Ohio, and no family is around you, and you're going to deploy together? Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't really work well.
Yeah.
So I chose to separate a little bit early, and had our daughter, and was able to actually go back to work, sitting at the same desk doing the same job in civilian clothes instead.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And so you then get out of the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about any kind of resources that the Air Force provided you in how to reintegrate back into civilian life.
I think that we had a class that I had gone through, kind of a debriefing, if you will, of, this is what you're going to experience and that kind of thing. And I'm sure that they gave me some papers with some information for resources on it. But I also was young and pregnant, and my husband had just come back from one deployment, and he was getting ready to go on another. And so I don't know that I focused as much on the resources at that time or paid attention to them as I probably should have.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually.
So,
our minds when we're pregnant do not,
those brain cells are gone. So
they are. We're just trying to make it from day to day.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And did you have a job already lined up when you got out?
Not exactly, because I was going to have a baby soon, but I knew that they were going to have a couple of positions come open within the finance department for civilians. And my job towards the end of my time within the Air Force actually ended up being a twofold kind of thing. I was certifying orders, making sure that there was money for deployments, basically. So at that time when orders came down, they would end up at my desk and I would have to say, okay, we have the money for this many people to go, and this is the line of accounting it's going to go on, that kind of thing. So,
Right.
and I would have to stamp them. Fun fact, I actually signed my husband's first deployment orders before we were married. So that's what I was doing for the Air Force.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's kind of neat to see
Small world.
my name with his, my maiden name on his deployment order. So it's kind of interesting. And that was probably one of the most impactful things for me. We were dating at the time. And the sergeant who always brought those orders over, he came and he would always just sit and chit chat with me while I certified things and that kind of thing. And one day he came over and he sat this big old thick folder on my desk and patted it and said, "I'll be back for these tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, I have time right now." And he's like, "Nope, you're going to need some time with those." And I was like, okay. So yeah, so I signed my husband's deployment orders and knew where he was going before he did. So, yeah, so that was interesting, but
yeah, that's crazy. I can imagine, that you knew he was going to be deployed and exactly where.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of a crazy story.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that was part of my job. That was a finance part of my job, but I was also our squadron commander's administrative assistant. So I was doing both roles at the same time. And so that was, that's what I was doing. And I knew they were going to open up a few positions within finance. And so after I had my daughter, I was able, and the commander came back from a deployment. I had put in for a couple of the positions and I was able to go back. So I did kind of have a job lined up, but not officially, because I still had to go through the same application process,
right,
as everyone else. So there were, a few positions open and I got one of them. So yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how difficult was it being a mom and going back to work?
Yeah.
And having your spouse deployed?
Yes. Yeah. That was definitely challenging. I don't know that I was fully ready for that, but apparently the Lord thought I was, because that's how life played out. So I definitely learned a lot about myself and got to grow. And I'm grateful for the family of fellow airmen that I had then, as well as the civilians that worked within the finance department. Right before I left, there was another civilian there who was getting ready to retire. She was a sweet lady who was named Deanne. And she actually said, "By the time you get to go back to work, I'll be ready to do something and I would love to watch your daughter." And so I had childcare lined up and I would take her. It was like my daughter had, a little grandma that she would go to grandma's house every day while I went to work. And so that was really the community and the family, and the way that I hope that it's like this in all branches, but I do feel this for the Air Force specifically, was you just support each other and you help each other figure it out. And, especially a friend of mine had a baby exactly a month before me. So we were kind of going through those things together and just having that, helping each other grow through those things.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. And you got to learn from hers.
Yeah, a little bit. She's just a little bit ahead of me. So yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. So yeah.
And so you go through that role where you're working in finance still, as a civilian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what happens next for you? How long are you there for? And then what happens next?
My husband deployed another time, and then we were there probably I mean, we were there a total of our 4 years. His 4-year term ended, and we decided that that was kind of enough for us. And so we decided to move back to Ohio, where he was from. So that's what we did. And when I left, I did have an opportunity that I could have put in for a job at Wright Pat Air Force Base, but I chose not to. I wanted to be able to stay home with our daughter. So we were moving, and that's what I did when we got here. About a couple weeks after we got here, I found out I was pregnant with our son. And so I was like, well, no, I'm really not going back to work right now. We'll just kind of play this out and see how it goes. So,
yeah.
And we had some, a lot of our relationship up till that point, he had been deployed twice. So we had a lot of time apart, and I had figured out how to be a mom without him there. And now I needed to figure out how we could be a family. And, that was a huge part of why we decided to separate also from the Air Force at that time. Was when he came back from his second deployment, our daughter didn't know who he was. And that's not the kind of dad that he wanted to be, nor the kind of dad that I wanted for our children. So it was important to us that we had present parenting. We were present parents. And that's not something we had when we were growing up. So it was important for us to be able to give that to our kids.
Right. And so, all right. So you have a second child.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have a son. Yeah.
Congratulations. And then what happens once he's born?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's a blur after that. No,
it flies by.
It does fly by. But after that, I mean, I spent a good amount of time being able to be a stay-at-home mom, and with both of the kids. And my husband was he became a corrections officer and was going through the police academy and became a police officer. And so we, we went from a point of life where a season felt like he would deploy for chunks of time for a good chunk of time. And then sometimes, being a police officer's wife, sometimes you feel like you're sending your husband out to a deployment every day.
Right.
And so it's just a different kind of danger and a different kind of stuff that they deal with. And I do feel like my time in the Air Force helped me to develop some resiliency that's necessary for having a husband who's a police officer, who is a Iraqi war veteran. He's got things that he deals with from that, and just the job of being a police officer. And now I have 2 kids who are also in the Air Force. So I think that my time taught me a lot of things about resiliency and the strength and the understanding that's required to love and support people in those career fields.
I think that's wonderful.
And to be able to support the people who support those people. Just even having our kids go through basic training. Both of them went through basic training in the same year. I had back to back. I had kids.
I couldn't have done it.
That was a challenge. It was rough. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And basic training for them now is how long?
That is 7 weeks, 8 weeks. I don't remember. That sounds so bad. It was just like literally last year, but I want to say it's 8 weeks, just a little less. I think it's 7.5, but yeah, so back to back pretty much. One graduated, we went to his graduation, and then just shortly after that, within 2 months, the next one was going to basic training. So
oh, wow. As a mom, right? That I can't speak for dads. Mm-hmm. I don't want to speak for dads, but I know as a Marine mom that, just not being able to, and they're in the Marines, they don't get to call home.
Right.
You're lucky if they write. I think you will get one, like they will make you write one home.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, sometimes you'd get a letter, sometimes you wouldn't get a letter. It just would depend. Heck, I didn't even get the actual phone call to say that they made it there.
Oh,
Because he
God.
was at a booth, little phone booth that wasn't hooked up.
Oh.
And so he'd hold it up to his ear, he'd dial the number and not even a dial tone. And, and he'd wait and he'd wait. And then, enough time that he thought he should wait. And then he'd hang it up and he'd say, this recruit was unable to get in contact with anybody. Try again. Okay.
Oh my God.
So
that's funny.
And all I could tell myself as a mother is, no news is good news. No news is good
no
news.
news is good news. Yeah.
But even still, I came this close from calling the recruiter's office to check and see, did he actually make it?
Yeah.
I mean, was he on the bus?
Did we actually send him off or not? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a little
kudos to
bit
you.
different now. They call home with their own cell phones, at least for the Air Force. They turn their
the
cell
Marines,
phone back
they
on
still
and
cannot have them.
they don't get to have them except for that one thing. They can only make a phone call. That is it. So nothing.
Okay. All right.
No text message, no FaceTime, no anything like that. It was just a phone call. So.
And is it as fast as you see on YouTube? This is, recruit so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. I've made it to this. Okay.
And very scripted. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, good luck to you. I'll be praying for you. Love you.
So how did you go from your having your second child and then going back? Did you go right back to work with them, or did you start your own business?
No, I think over the years I've done a lot of things. But primarily I was a stay-at-home mom, but I did dabble in some direct sales business that got us in a whole lot of debt. I made some really bad financial choices, and we together, because even though I was in finance within the Air Force, like I said earlier, government finance and people finance are two different things. So, that's just, I never really learned how to handle money in a good, healthy way. So I grew up, with a single mom, and we spent everything that came in. My husband, on the other hand, grew up with a single mom, and she is very frugal and very diligent about saving money and that kind of thing. And so it's two different worlds, and trying to blend those things and figure out what we do with money, and made a whole lot of bad decisions with money and got into quite a bit of debt. And so we spent some time doing odd jobs for myself. My husband always had a main, job. Like, he was always the primary breadwinner for our family. But I would do odd things, like not odd, like weird, just odd jobs. Like, I babysat for other people, I grew produce and I sold it. I've, canned pickles and salsa and sold those things, and just little things here or there to make some extra money, to be able to pay off the debt that we had incurred. And, that's really what I did over the years. But really my main focus was always in doing some, ministry, and then also taking care of our kids and raising them in a good, solid home, and giving them a place that they could come to and feel safe, and just raising them how we felt like they needed to be raised, and not letting somebody else do that for us was important to us, and how we wanted to have our family. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that is important. And I'm glad that you had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I did get to have that opportunity. So I don't take that for granted. So
tell me how you became then a financial coach.
Because I made a whole lot of bad decisions with money. That's really what it boils down to in a nutshell. But we did a whole lot of dumb things with money one time, and we dug ourselves out of debt, and then we didn't learn our lesson. And so we like tripled the amount of debt we were in and did it all
Oh,
over
no.
again. And none of it even included a mortgage. It was house and a travel trailer, or not a house, a car and a truck and a travel trailer and this and that and the other thing. And so we just did a whole lot of normal dumb things. It's what so many people do. And
Exactly.
it became a point for us where it was no longer okay to be living like that. That's not how we wanted to live. And so the second time, by the grace of God, we got out of debt again. We worked super hard to do that a second time. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this again. And I am going to help other people to get out of this hole. Because sometimes when you've gone through something, the best thing you can do is reach your hand down and pull the next person up, and help somebody else to do that. And so that's what I do. I started my own business doing financial coaching. I went through the training that I needed to become a Ramsey certified financial coach. I'm sure there's a different way I'm supposed to actually say that, but I doubt
I won't tell.
listening. So no, whatever. I'm sure there's a specific term I'm supposed to use, and I don't remember what it is. But I did go through that training, and now have kind of adapted some of the things, because I do think that I find value in cutting back what you need to, but I also have found times where we really just need to also be able to live our lives and enjoy our life and not feel like we can only eat rice and beans and rice kind of thing. Unless that's your jam, then go for it. But that's not mine. So,
Right.
I think that that's important. So that's what I do. I love to be able to help other people and coach them through some things and just walk alongside them. It's really an honor and a privilege to be able to walk through that with somebody else and offer that guidance.
That's wonderful. Now, is this a nonprofit or a for-profit business?
No, it is a for-profit business. So I'm not done the paperwork to become a nonprofit. I don't know that that's something that I really I want to do, but I do offer a free strategy session for people. Like, it's not, everything isn't paid. Like, there are some free resources and that kind of thing. And so just that private one-on-one time with me regularly, is a paid
Right.
thing. So,
Right.
yeah.
And if somebody were interested in retaining your services, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, they can visit my website, teannalambert.com. There's lots of information on there, and there is a link to even book that free strategy session. So I do typically work with primarily women and couples. I don't generally work with men by themselves. That's just not, I can, but I prefer not to, because it's just not a situation I enjoy being in, to be perfectly honest.
No, that's perfectly fine.
But I don't mind working with couples. I really love working with couples, honestly, because there's a lot of different dynamics to work through, and figuring out who's the spender, who's the saver, who's the, doing different things, and the relational aspect of that. But I don't primarily work with men on their own kind of thing.
Yeah. I was going to try and bring it up, but for some reason it's saying that it can't load.
Okay,
It said it can't be reached. It took
that's
too long to
weird.
respond. So I don't know if the internet is just freaking out. I have no idea. Our connection is great, but I know in the chats at the beginning, there was some buffering and such. So who knows? I know the bill was paid. So
let's see. I put it in the chat. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
let's see if it pops. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and share that so that everybody can see it. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody is interested in retaining your services, they can go here.
Yes.
And I'm going to split my screen so I can see what I'm doing here.
Sure.
And so it's a 6-week coach
Yeah, I have a group coaching program that starts
Okay.
again in October. And then if you scroll down just a little bit, there's a little bit more, a little bit further. There's a little bit about me. You can actually read, like, I wrote a couple of blog posts on there about our financial story and just some of the things we've been through. But right there where it says free real life money strategy session, they could book a free session with me right there. It's like a 30 to 45-minute session. We'll talk through what's going on with their money, and I'll offer some practical tips and things like that I would do if I were in their shoes, and they can decide if they want to work with me further. But there's no hard sales pitch coming. Like, it's just like that. Basically what I just said. If you want to work with me further, here's the options. And if not, that's okay. I hope you found value in our time together. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so before we get to wrapping things up, if there's anybody that's in the chats who has any questions for Teanna, go ahead, please, and get those put out there now. Let's see.
I will offer a slight disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor or financial planner, so I'm not doing any investing. I don't sell any insurance products, nothing like that. It's just coaching and getting people through whatever they're dealing with and giving them somebody to ask questions to who's a real person and not Chat GPT.
Always a plus.
Yes, yes.
So, all right, let's see. It's so, you can always get your name out there more by doing the Mrs. USA contest.
I think I'll pass. Thank you. I'll pass on that.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and get your questions in the chats for Teanna, and then again, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and then the notification bell as well. Tell me about, so your kids, when they decided that they wanted to join, is it something that you as a family talked about in advance, or was it something that they came to you and said, I want to do this?
I think for our son, we always knew like that was the route he was going to go. He, did some, like, went to a career technology center for criminal justice and that kind of thing. And we, like, school is just not his favorite thing. And so we knew that that was the avenue he wanted to go. And so those conversations were happening for years with him, which branch. And in fact, as soon as he turned, I think it's like 16, that he could sign his delayed entry paperwork, he was like, when can we go to the recruiter? Like, I am ready to do this. And so I was like, I'm not ready for you to do this. But we did finally go and do that. And so that's the route he went. My daughter was a little bit more of a surprise, but it was still the, probably mid to late of her junior year. And we were having those conversations, and she had actually started out in ROTC, and her program changed. And so she ended up deciding she would go into the National Guard instead. And so that's what she did. And it was, it's different sitting on the side of the mom than it is the side of the airman, for sure. Just thinking of, like, man, at least I've already done these things. And so I knew a little bit more what to expect and that kind of thing. But I don't know that anything really prepares you for that, but it was helpful, I suppose. But yeah, it was just conversations we had. And I think she never wavered from Air Force. It was always Air Force. I think our son, his rebellion times, was talking about doing the Marine Corps at one point. And I was like, that recruiter is going to have to get through your mama. So I don't think that's going to happen. So, but all branches are phenomenal and, serve well. I just got to make a little bit of fun at another branch. So there was no way he was going that route. I was like, no. It's Air Force or bust, buddy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
you have this moment, this opportunity to speak to the younger generation of military. What words of wisdom do you have for them?
I think I would start with speaking to somebody who's not decided to join yet. I would start with them and say, it is the best decision I ever made in my whole life. It has set me up and opened doors and opportunities, um, and given me built character within me and taught me lessons that I didn't know that I needed to learn. And I don't see people learning and developing skills outside of military service. So I think that there's a pride that comes with that, and just a sense of community and brotherhood or sisterhood or whatever that you don't get anywhere else. And so I would highly encourage those considering to join. Those that are already in, make it the be the best that you can be and make it the best that you can make out of it. It may not be the location you want to be in right now. You may not be in the job you want to be in right now. You But you have the ability to make it the best of any situation that you're in. And so I would definitely say that. And to those in, I would also say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, get your finances in order. Like, seriously, like, you don't even have to have a conversation with me, but really make sure that you're investing, especially those young service members. Make sure that you start out the gate taking some money out of your paycheck for the TSP. And if you can open a Roth IRA and put some money away for that, because time is your best friend when it comes to investing for your retirement. And it may feel like it's so far away, but it happens like that blink of an eye, and you're at the age that you can retire from service, and then you have the ability to choose, if you've invested wisely, whether you are going to have a second career or not, depending on what you have done financially. So those would be my biggest things that I would say.
Yeah, that's some great advice. I know a lot of, just from experience from mine, right? My children who were in the military, and finance was not their thing.
No,
And
it's not most of their thing.
right. I didn't want to, generalize, but I could speak definitely to mine. And it's so important to have that, get in the habit of watching those expenditures and saving some money. Nowadays, especially, I can speak to my youngest Marine, who he would order food in. So you had, as it is, they're taking $400 and something out a month just for the chow hall.
Yes.
Whether you eat there or not.
True.
And he's ordering Uber Eats or DoorDash for a pizza or Taco Bell or goodness knows what. And so he's putting out there $700, $800 a month, depending upon how often, he's doing this. And because it's not cheap.
No.
But between the delivery fees and such. So to me, it's like, that's just basic. And I said I'm not good at numbers, but I am good with common sense. And that made no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And I also don't want to generalize either too much, but I will say, just in conversations that I've had with my kids and some of the other airmen or other branches of the service that are younger, those people do not have a grasp, because they're also not taught. Like, they're not taught how to manage money well. And the military doesn't teach you that either. No, it's not something that's taught, and it should be and probably could be. But it's just not. That's not what they're great at. So I think that it's super important just to have a grasp on that. And you are absolutely right. DoorDash, Uber Eats, subscription services, doesn't matter if you're a young service member or, in your 50s and a coaching client. Like, people are paying so much for subscription services, and it is wild. So it's stealing their retirement for sure.
Yeah.
And their ability to even have money for a basic emergency of a flat tire.
Yeah, that's the thing. You sit there and you're like, okay, my water heater goes out. It's not just a couple $100. It's a couple thousand.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to be, it's one thing to plan for new windows, plan for things of that nature for a home, but it's those little incidentals that have a big impact on, you got to be able to wash your clothes and wash your dishes, and hot water comes in pretty darn handy with a shower.
Right.
So
and it is a, even $1,000 starter kind of emergency fund almost isn't enough.
Agreed.
But it's a great place to start. It's better to have $1,000 set aside in case something happens, as opposed to having nothing. And then, you have to put it on a credit card, or maybe you don't have credit cards because you have no credit and you can't do anything like that. You're really up a creek. So I think that it's so important to, find somebody that you feel like you could be mentored by to give you some good financial pointers. Like there's great advice out there on YouTube, on, social media, on wherever, podcasts, wherever you want to listen to things, but there's also some really, really bad advice. So make sure that you are finding somebody who's solid and has, a good basis that they're teaching. So
I think that's great. Yeah. So Ron Wayne says, thank you for your service, Teanna. Great story.
Thank you.
Jim says, great story and resilience in your service, your life. Bravo.
Thank you.
Jason says, thank you for your service, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Jim says, compounding interest does wonders.
It's a miracle, that compounding interest, man, how that math works. It's amazing.
Yeah. He also says you could do a seminar for every branch of service, new recruits on financial planning for their future. At least those highlights that we've briefly talked about, that, something to maybe put out there, expand the business a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So Jim says rule of thumb back in the day was 6 months reserve of what your monthly living costs are.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom that happening today with our youth.
Yeah. I think that it's important to have a good 3 to 6 month emergency fund of your basic living expenses. So that doesn't mean 3 to 6 months worth of your paycheck. That means what does it take for you to be able to survive if you don't have a paycheck? So, and I especially think that's important for, people who are married, who have children, that kind of thing. Hopefully they have some sort of life insurance. I know service members do, but sometimes it takes a while for that stuff to come in. And what are you going to do to pay your bills if something happens to your spouse? Yep. And so, or you're laid off and you can't work because, you're no longer in the service and you didn't save. Like there are so many variables, but that 3 to 6 month emergency fund is super important. And I will tell you that there are younger service members who are actually doing it. It's possible. They do exist. So
that warms my heart.
Yes. I'm not going to dog on them completely, for the younger generation. I don't want to be that person. But they do exist. There are those that are making good financial choices, and hopefully they can be a good light to others around them as well, and a good example to others. So
yeah, I think that's great. Jason says, great show. I think he meant to say, Teanna, you type a little fast, It's all right. Thank you again for service. Also, please tell your husband and kids the same as well.
Thank you.
And of course, Teanna is my favorite veteran.
Oh, Lambert Outdoors. He's my favorite veteran.
I bet. Jason says, are you a little biased?
He might be.
So, well, and Terry Lynch says, thank you for sharing your story and your insight. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on. And if you want to hang tight for me for just a few, we're going to go ahead and get things wrapped up. So
thank you so much for having me.
It's been my pleasure. For everybody else, please have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week coming up. Join me next Sunday. I do have a show with a Vietnam veteran. And so we will see you again next Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Everybody have a great one.
Hi, I'm Beaker with Military Broadcast Radio TV. We're your virtual MWR, bringing veterans radio, podcasts, gaming, animation, 3D printing, and a community that never leaves you behind. Download our Roku or mobile app today.
Wisdom to share if you listen this week, so pull up a chair and stay for a spell. We're heading down a trail where good stories dwell.